Okay, so this is actually going to be episode 30 of Centaurs in my outrageously evolving podcast, which has been going wonderfully. I'd never done a podcast before, and it's really fun. So Kelly asked me the other day, I want to get information like you do. And I said, well, okay, I'll put a call together and we'll just look at it and share. So I don't consider myself to be a psychic or a future predictor. That's not how I do what I do. I'm more interested in seeing who people's greater beings are, what their bigger purpose is, what their role is in the greater game, and how you choose pathways going forward for that. Because I don't believe there's just one pathway that's destined for us all. I think we can choose and create and source whatever we want to do. So my role is to help unfold that for people. So that's how I use it. So I would say the first step in looking at what we're about to do, which I am calling deciphering your place in the universal game. And Kelly would call it getting information, insights, and clarity on stuff, right? So the first thing you want to do is look at why you want to do it. Because I think once you say why you want to do it, it shapes how you do it. So, for example, if I say, I don't necessarily want to predict like futures or destinies because that's not in my bailiwick and I don't kind of believe in it. Therefore, it shapes the type of information I get and how I get it. So if you just take a minute and just look for a minute, why would you want to get information, insights, clarity, understanding from the universe, the infinite intelligence source, wherever you get it from? Why would you want to do that? Just take a look for a minute and see what yours is. Okay, maybe we'll get a couple people to just share. What are yours? Yeah, Fleur and then Joe.
Initially, it was to feel more clarity so that my life can flow more gracefully. And then the sort of bigger aspect of that was very much around more embodied and a more embodied sense of what I am when I wasn't in a body, and how I am in a body, so that I'm not using my thinking mind and my all of that. I'm using more of my whole being to access information.
Okay, great. Now, Fleur and Joe are both artists, so they're getting insights and information and clarity all the time in the form of genius flow that turns into art, right? So you use that process for that as well, right?
Yeah, except I wouldn't really say I feel like I'm in a process. It just feels very kind of natural. I wouldn't, whereas when I may be thinking about how do I move my business forward, how do I expand my business, like where it's a little bit more like up here and a bit more, to me, like less creative, I suppose that's where I feel like I perhaps stumble a little bit more on what is the true, like, graceful expansive flow for me. the,
Okay.
paint, the painting bit, creative bits, kind of feels easy, even though I guess it's separating it out, and it's not really a separate process, but it seems separate to me.
And that opens up a really interesting insight about this. None of it comes from your head. But if you go up here to get information, you will get what you already know or some version thereof. If you go here, it's whatever, or here, in whatever form you get it, you get much richer, greater, bigger insights and information. So maybe even for me running my business, I don't get anything from here. I wake up in bed and it all pops through as a creative process. So just for fun. So Joe, how about you?
Mute. Yeah, exactly the same. Clearly we're coming from the same place, and but what came to me when you said to consider the question was it's just a purer way to to live and to be. It stops you scrabbling around thinking, how do I do this and what about that, and oh, how do I create this, and you're sort of looking for physical things, whereas if you just tune in like that, you just know. It removes all that questioning and worrying and wondering
Yes.
and planning and thinking. You just bypass it, don't you, and go straight to the immediate source, really. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah, well
Mm,
said. Yeah, I think that's exactly it. It's
yeah.
like I found in my brain, because I only started to get insights like this in 1994, 95. That was the beginning of, if I didn't have it all my life. It's probably why I can explain how I get it, because I didn't have it before, and now I do, so I can see the difference, whereas people who've had it all their life struggle to tell you how they get it somewhat, I think. So, yeah. So I would say for me, just like you said, it makes my life gracious and in superflow, and I make good decisions and choices. I make the right decisions and choices because it doesn't come from my head or my logic or my thinking. It comes from, in my case, I'm usually saying, what do you want of me next? It's where I've kind of surrendered to the greater game. That's me. I'm like up for all of that stuff. So when I live according to those flows, everything comes to me and everything flows through me. So what I love to do with people is look at, okay, there's like Kelly's starting a brand new path. She's just moved to the UK for a while, so, or forever, we hope. So she's got choices in front of her of how it can unfold. So how do you look at those choices? How do you look at those pathways, and how do they unfold? That kind of thing. Yeah, cool. Okay. Anybody else want burning to share about what yours is before we go on? No, okay, good. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is looking at how do you see, witness, recognize, understand your being, your greater being, your expansiveness, your infiniteness, etc. How do you do that? So the best way to start with it is to see it in someone else. That finesses the skill. When you're trying to do it for yourself, it's always a little bit more challenging, I find. But if you do it for someone else, then you finesse the skill, then it's easier to do it for yourself. So I want to volunteer so we can all look at you. Anybody? Okay. Lori, I'm going to pick you if that's okay. Kelly, I'll pick you later for example. So, okay, so Lori, most of you probably don't even know her, right? So how would you know about her? So we're going to witness the magnificence of her greater being, infinite being, source being, universal being, whatever you want to call it, here present on earth now. Okay, so we're just going to do it, and then I'm going to describe how I do it, and maybe a few others will describe how you do it. And one of the keys to doing this is you don't look straight on at the person in a body. Because if you look straight on at a person in a body, often what people do is they pick up emotional signals, things going on in their life. You'll pick up the normal stuff of life. What you want to do is look big and bright and bold, kind of expansively at the field of her, the magnificence of her, the infiniteness of her. Okay? All right, Larry, here we go. All right. Okay. How did that feel, Lori? Oh, you're on mute.
It felt wonderful. It was very expansive feeling for me, almost like, you know, I expanded into myself. Yeah.
Yeah, because when you're looking at someone's being, you're kind of supercharging the allness of them. So
Yeah.
everything goes more cohesive, more powerful, more visible, more tangible, more practical, more present in them. They feel more vibrationally present when you're finished. So
No.
it's not an out there kind of thing. It's a
No.
all here
Yeah.
kind of thing. It helps me if I throw my head back, stick my chin up, throw my head back, and kind of go, whoom, like I'm looking at a wide vista of them, as opposed to looking straight on. It really helps me to do that. So, and it's interesting. So when I'm looking at someone, I'm generally seeing like shapes and forms. Sometimes I'll actually see images that make sense, but often I'm just seeing shapes and forms moving and giving me impressions. And what I've learned to do over time is to let those impressions inform me what they're telling me. So when I first looked at Lori, if I can use this as an example, there was a real framework of light, like really there, but it wasn't yet, even though I know you are that and you have moments of that and times of that, but it was like, if I could translate that, it was like, you're in a life where there are times in your life where you can just sparkle and shine and zing the whole world up, the whole universe up. You have huge power. But in the life, it might be slightly constricted. Would you say that's true for you?
Absolutely.
Yeah. And that might be because of other people's stuff, not because of yours, right?
Yeah, correct.
Yeah, that's usually the
Correct.
thing. It's never anything to do with you. It's to do with somebody else doesn't like this or that or whatever. So, and then, so I was like, give us the power, girl. Like, I'm sending signals across when I'm looking. And she kind of went like, because that's her natural state. And you're a shimmer and shine gal. We were talking about glitter. You're a glitterati, like in life kind of thing is what it felt like. And does that resonate with you?
Absolutely. Like it feels like that's what I'm going through right now, separating out that other stuff and coming into that light and turning it on. And like I've been going back and forth between exactly how to do that. And it's on sometimes, it's off other times, and I'm just trying to like play with that. So this is perfect.
Yeah. Yeah, yeah. And one of the things I've learned is switch that switch on. Like this is like the most epic time ever, I think, on planet Earth. So like switch the switch on and do the
Okay,
work.
so when my switch is really on, this
Yeah.
will be fun. I tend to just get like so animated and so alive that I like almost burn myself out. Do you know what I
Oh,
mean? Any
oh,
thoughts on that?
yes, I have thoughts on that because I'm
Great.
a hyper creator, super animated, high vibrancy,
Right, right.
getting ideas all the time kind of person too. So what you do is you move yourself into gracious superflow.
Okay.
It's a state of being that
Thank you.
lets
Oh boy,
you,
that just came in big.
yeah, yes, gracious superflow is a state that's available to us all if we want it. You can choose any state really if you want, but when you choose gracious superflow, it stops being like this and it starts being like this.
Okay, it's more of a whoosh.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
more of a whoosh and like you're learning, like you're surfing waves.
Uh-huh.
You're in the joy of surfing waves and it just flows out of you with this kind of ease and grace and flow and then people relate to it easily. Whereas
Right.
when you get like this,
Right.
you know this feeling.
I don't relate to it easily.
Anyways, just try it, Laura. Just switch
Yeah.
into gracious superflow and see what happens. Anybody else wants to do it, you can try it. So
Okay.
if you want to.
Woo.
Yeah, feel the difference.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, it's just a drop down flow.
Yeah.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah.
But
Yeah.
one of the reasons why that's happening is because all this energy and ideas and possibilities and vibrancy is in a body. So the minute you go into gracious superflow, you've expanded and you've allowed the grace of genius to take its flow through you. So you become a big, great big giant. I don't want to say portal because you're not a portal, but something like that. You know, you're a superflow genius creator, and it really helps with it.
Yeah. I feel that big time. Thank you.
Yeah, good. Good
Oh,
stuff.
thank
Okay,
you.
after all that, does anybody else want to share what you got for Lori when you looked at her?
I'll share.
Okay, go for it.
I tend to see images. And so the first image I saw was you kind of kneeling down, and I think you were talking to a child or comforting a child, and there was this energy around you of like a safe warm hug, or like, you know, a comforting lap to sit in. And so there was this very, very loving, and I get the sense that people are very drawn to you to talk to you. Maybe they spill out their guts to you, and you just shower your love, and you are able to empower them, but also you empower yourself as well.
Very
Not
cool.
that.
Very,
That
very, very accurate.
Yeah, fantastic. Now, Grace just did a beautiful job of that. Now, what came to me as she said it, she's saying things about Lori's physical life, right?
Mm-hmm.
And she's seeing your being through that. But what if, now this comes back to the why are you doing this, right? I'm not doing it to just get information for them. I'm doing it also to open them up to who they are meant to become. Not by my agenda, by their agenda or by source's agenda or whatever, you know, like, so if you weave into your why that you are an alchemical transcendent force for up-leveling greatness, you see, then you get even more and different insights. And your witnessing has more impact. So Lori, just out of interest, was there a difference between when I was talking to you and when Grace was talking to you? And what's the difference so we can see it?
Yeah, there absolutely was. You know, I feel like I expanded more when you were doing it into my greater potential. Whereas I felt like the second time was more of a reporting on who I am in the physical world already.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah, so Grace, try it the rest of you can try this too if you want to. But Grace, now, become a transcendent, oh, just a sec, I'm just letting some wonderful Sheila Richardson in. So try it now. You're an alchemical creative super force for Lori to become even more magnificent than she's ever been before. Hi, Sheila. So if you then looked at her from that perspective, see if it would look any different, Grace. Yeah, I can tell it's working because Lori's smiling and nodding. So what was different, Grace, when you did that?
so so it felt very light, like limitless,
Yes.
limitless potential, very energizing. I lost the descriptors, but it was really an amazing, you're like, whoo, anything's possible, kind of.
Yes, and do you notice that when you do that? So in the first case, when you looked, it was probably, oh, this is really cool, this is fun, this is interesting, right? But this time you were changing and evolving as she was changing and evolving, right? So when you look alchemically, almost transcendently at someone for them to become who they really are, then both parties move. It's
Yeah,
really
like
fascinating.
when Grace was just talking, I could see it in her,
Yeah.
the effects of it. Yeah.
Yeah, because you do something vibrationally and alchemically that lifts you to a space. I
Mhm.
think it's part of why I've moved as fast and far as I have over the last 20 years, because I'm doing this a lot for other people. So, so I also get the benefits of it because I'm doing it for a lot of people. So it helps me sustain my own vibrational, level. So Sheila, we're just working on seeing who another being is. That's when we were using Laurie as an example. So I'll just get one. So Fleur stuck her hand. Fleur, do you want to say what you got?
Yeah, having listened to everything that's been said, it makes loads of sense. What I tend to do is I go into having a conversation with someone's brilliance energy, as I call it.
Yeah.
So I feel that I'm acting more as a kind of translator than anything else, and I'm having that dialogue.
Yeah.
And the image that I got of you, Laurie, was that you were this huge, huge, huge like being, and you were kind of initially you were kind of shouting, because you really want people to hear like how they can be even more brilliant in the world. And there was this sense of like that felt a little like not quite aligned, and then you went sort of more quiet, and there was a sense of that almost had more power in it because it had there was an alignment there. And yeah, very much as a sense of being so transformational for people just by being you and being this amazing, magnificent being that you are, and how much you're really helping people, and a sense of the journey that you've gone through is very much that you've gone through that very purposefully at a divine level, because that journey will help other people resonate even more with what you're trying to say, and then they'll be able to access their brilliance even more. So there was a real purpose behind some of the things that you've gone through. Not that I know any of it, but there was that sense.
Yeah. Thank you. Thank you.
Fantastic. See, when you're being an alchemical transcendent force for someone, I think most of us are we're either there or we're ready to pop there. Like into this fullness of beingness, greatness, magnificence, players in the greater game. And when you witness someone, you are not just getting information. You have the opportunity to help lift them into that greater game, that greater space of themselves. But again, without agenda. I don't have an agenda of what that would look like or that it needs to happen, because you can't have, I can't, as the witness and the source and the alchemist, I can't have an agenda for it. It's for me, it's almost like what universe or the source wants and what she wants. And if I orient to that, then I get something that can help them go pop and end up in a place that's magnificent. And so often what can happen in times like that, like Laurie, I'll bet you're right on a cusp, right?
Yeah.
And about to pop?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah. Who else is ready to pop? Let's just see. Yeah, practically all of us. Yeah. Yeah. So when you want to do that with someone, and this would apply with a circumstance, with a home, with finding a place, with getting a job, it would apply to many things. So what you do when you want to do that is you come into it as this alchemical transcendent force for possibility for them to pop, to emerge, to become. And then I'm going to have to do it in order to explain it, I suppose, because it's hard to explain until I've done it. So we're still going to keep working with Lori for a minute. So, okay. So if you want to do that, do it with us. And if you just want to observe, it's up to you, whatever feels good and right. Okay. Okay. So Lori, here we go. You ready?
Yep.
You got it, didn't you?
Yeah.
I could tell you got it with great grace too. It was very easy.
Thank you.
What happened?
It was like the word fissures just keeps coming. There were fissures and they were just releasing, and things were just falling off that didn't need to be there.
Yeah.
And I was just expanding out and just, you know, I was like shaking things off, and it just was poof.
Yeah. I suppose if I was going to describe what I was doing, I was witnessing, but I was also calling forth who she truly is, who she's always been and always meant to become. And I was almost telepathically sending on the airwaves, we get you. We want you just like that. We want that bigness, that greatness. That's who you are. That's what we want. It is time. Yes. And then you said, I got it. Just like that. And I think that's important because, you know, so many of us have been rebels and unusual and weird and on the fringes and on the wild out there for a long time. And it's important to be seen and accepted as that. And then it kind of goes into kind of a gracious, geniusly oriented grace. And that's what you'll find, I think, after all of that we've done with you, that you will find it will just flow from you more graciously. You'll be in the world easier and more powerfully at the same time. Yay! That was fun. Okay, so I hope you got lots of insights about kind of how you could do this. And every one of us may do it differently. You don't have to do it like I do it necessarily. That's why the why you do it is so important. But I'm just hoping you pick up kind of tips and ways of possibility as you're playing with it. Okay, so that was the first part. So the second part we're going to talk about is how do you find someone's greater purpose? And that greater purpose can evolve and change, I've discovered over the years. At one point you get it, and then 5 years later, or even 5 days later, it'll be something different altogether. It's because we're evolving so fast. So you can't take a greater purpose as a fixed destiny that you're stuck with for the whole of your life. You have to be rolling with it all the time, I think, and letting it unfold. So I want to volunteer for greater purpose. Okay. Joe, can we use you? Okay. Do you already know what your greater purpose is?
I have lots of greater purposes.
Yay.
And that's why I put my hand up, because I find it, I'll even use the word difficult actually sometimes, to stay focused on the greatness of my art, the greatness of my writing, my work with animal rescue and sharing the story of sentience in the animal world. And there's even more than that. So I don't have trouble knowing what those things are. I have trouble fitting it into me and my life. It makes me scattered. It really does. And yeah, it's like I've got a carriage and it's got loads of horses and I've got 4 reins. It's the best way to describe it, really. Yeah.
She's looking for a coherent wholeness to put all of that into so it makes sense and flows. Is
Yeah.
that right? Yeah, good. Okay. So now that, how many of you heard that that's what she said? Yeah, yeah, it's a listening skill, which I assume we all have, but you listen to try, because when you're going to go look, that's why I asked her the question first. You want to look at what she's really looking for. So what we're looking for is a coherent whole for all of it. Okay, now this is interesting for me because I will look in different places. I won't just go take one look. I could just ask for that information and I would get it come to me maybe as a voice or an understanding or a knowing. I could get it that way, but I might also look at the essence of Joe, the greatness of Joe. And that's looking in different places for the information. And then I might ask the universe what it wants of her, given she has all these specialties and this essence and this genius and this greatness. What would the universe want her to be doing? Do you see what I mean? So I might look in 4 or 5 different places before I give her a response. And when I give her a response, you'll notice I always say, does that resonate with you? Because I may not be always 100% accurate. And I don't want to put something on somebody like, okay, here it is. Now you have to live into that. I think you've got to make it so that it's their creation, it's their choice, and you're providing insights that they can build upon and create with. Okay, so here we go, Joe. So now I'm going to invite you all to look for what's the coherence of Joe that would give her what she's looking for. Okay, here we go, Joe. Okay. So Joe, how did that feel for you? You're unmute. Oh, you're now muted, so you need to unmute.
Oh, sorry.
That's
Yeah.
okay.
Well, I felt it all in my heart, actually. I felt my heart really expanding. And then I sort of felt quite physical feelings of things shifting in me, inside me. It was all
Yes.
here,
Yeah.
all in my body, actually.
Oh, yeah,
Yeah.
beautiful. Wonderful. Well, I can't wait to tell you what it got because there were some real unexpected insights. So I started from her kind of essence or deep core, like that which is her. And you said, I am life for life. I am for having life thrive. And I went, got that. And I can see that that fits all the things you do. You love life, you love earth, you love nature, you love animals, birds, oceans, it's a sacred thing for you.
It is, yeah.
So then I went to your greatness and you said, I'm here to evolve life. And I went, oh, I don't know do you know that?
Yeah, kind of, yeah. Yeah,
And
I
why
do.
the kind of? Why is it kind of?
It just seems so huge, and there's a part of me that's thinking, how do I get to that point where I can just hand that out so easily, you know? I can only think it's from my writing, actually. But
Okay.
yes, it is. It is that. Yeah.
Yeah. So, because I had the sense that she kind of knows it, just like she said, but she wasn't utilizing, she hadn't stepped fully into that yet, even though she is great. She does amazing. The contribution she brings to the world is just extraordinary. But this was like a facet of it that was waiting for you to like
Yeah.
deep
It's the
into.
next level, really. Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally.
And then I asked, I think the universe or your own being or something, and it said, I'm here to bring the understanding of creation to all life. And I think that's the coherence.
Yeah.
Because she works with children in schools to get them to create these amazing displays of things. And she works with animals, and she works with the witch nature group to do amazing.
You do a lot. I'm so tired.
Yeah. Yeah. But that made sense. When I got that, it fell into place because you are about creation. You are about life. You are about the sacredness of it, the beauty of it, the possibility of it, the all of it, and the sentiency of it. Because you also, so I'm an alchemist, and I can bring things to sentient life that might not have been before, and you do that.
I do. Yeah, I
Yeah.
do. I'm doing a talk about it. I'm going to a witches festival this weekend, and
Wow.
I'm doing a talk on animal sentience to the whole
Ooh, all
schmoodle.
right. And
It's
animal
fascinating.
sentiency has gone way up in the last recent years. And thanks for all you and others do about that. It's
Oh, I
incredible.
feel so emotional, really, hearing this.
Yeah. Does it, and I imagine at the moment it's floating around a little bit, not quite landed yet for you, right? So she's
Yeah,
heard what I've said, but it's
yeah,
floating there waiting to go, yes.
yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
so who else? Now I'm going to ask, who has the piece that will give her the yes? Sarah, do you want to say what you wrote? That might do it.
Well, when you said life is life, I had the same, and then I saw a lot of the element of water running through, like massive amount of water and streams and tributaries, whatever, just everywhere. So I know that there's the thing about water is life, and that is important. But the thing I got was the curator of dreams is what you are. And don't ask me what that means any more than that, except
My
for
business is called Dream Space.
Ah, I didn't know any of that.
Yeah. Wow,
Sarah,
thank
that's
you.
amazing. Can you see how the more we give her insight, the more something starts to land for her?
Yes.
Christine, you're going to say something?
Yeah, when I first went in, I was really just in the field and loved the whole, creating the coherence piece. And so what I saw was, it was like Joe's fairy garden, and all of your talents were just different garden beds. And all you had to do was walk through your beautiful garden of joy and creativity and brilliance of all your creations. And in that garden is also where you're not only just in the space of brilliant creation, you're also restoring your being. And you mentioned you were tired, and I just saw all this rejuvenation happening in the garden.
I love that. Thank you. What a beautiful
You're
way of
welcome.
looking at it. Yeah. I love that.
Yay. Yeah, Laurie, go for it.
Yeah. And this is not a place of peace for me. It's almost I'm so passionate about it, and it comes out in so many different forms that I'm really chasing my own tail a lot of the time, and it's all getting done, but I'm paying a high price for it. It's not calm, and
Gracious superflow, Joe.
yes, yes,
It's amazing how
I
it
wrote
takes
that
all that
down.
hyper creation and puts it right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah. Lori, go for it. It's almost like gone pop for her now.
Yeah.
Oh, you're on mute, Lori.
Yeah, I felt like there was this bigger container, this cross-referencing, that when you started to cross-reference everything, this like exuberating energy came out of you, the alchemical connection of everything that you do. And I saw you just laughing wildly, just because you so totally got it. You were just dancing like, got it.
That's what I'm like. Oh, thank you. That's beautiful.
Now,
Yeah.
can we just all witness Joe as that coherently, all of it wondrously, geniusly,
Laughing in
creator,
my
evolver,
garden.
alchemist,
Yeah.
all of it. Okay,
Yeah,
Joe, here
thank
we go.
you. Oh.
Okay, Joe, how's that feel?
I feel calmer. I feel really emotional.
Yeah.
And my heart has expanded even more, like the whole universe was just here in my heart space.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you know, I think that's more of our natural state, that
Mm.
as opposed to the way normally people walk around.
Yeah.
I
I feel
think
a bit
that's,
spaced out as well.
yeah.
But,
I think we're meant to be like
mm,
beings of superflow, where,
yeah.
and you were like a 747 heading for the stars, and you were taking us all with you. Like it was like, wow, come on, everybody, we're going up kind of thing.
Mm,
It was amazing.
yeah.
Yeah,
Thank you
beautiful.
so much, everybody. Well, what does that say?
I just wanted to say real quick that it was really fun, and thank you, Joe, for receiving you and all of what you gave me, because as soon as I saw that for you, like you were saying, Solera, I just felt it come right into me and settle in me, and that was profound, so thank you.
Yeah, great, good stuff. So we were looking at greater purpose. In this case, we saw that, but we also were looking at getting it to be coherent, because it feels like different pieces, but actually it's a coherent thing. It's a coherent beingness or creativeness. And once you get the coherence of it, so you get the inner essence genius, you get the greater part, you get it all in flow, you get it expansive and put it into superflow, it lands in a way where then life is more like this than like this. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
So at the same time as we were doing that, we were getting the insights about how you look in different places for this. And for me, it really isn't about one place to look. I'll look 5, 6, 7 places in a short period of time, because I'm scanning for information and insights that will help that person, that being, become who they're truly meant to be. That's my why as to why I do it. Okay, so now we're going to talk about optimal pathways. So, and by the way, we're going to come up on the hour. If you're okay, we'll go over the hour. If anybody needs to drop off, feel free to drop off if you have to. But so we're going to talk about optimal pathways now. So you kind of get who you are. You make a big, like, this is where I'm going to use Kelly. Is that okay, Kelly? But yeah. So Kelly's right in the moment of optimal pathways because she had a almost died experience in April, May, was it? In June, right. She was in upper state New York. She almost died. And she was in the hospital and writing me like, blah, like, and so then she woke up on day 2 and had a revelation. And the revelation was, I'm moving to the UK. And here she is. She arrived on August 20th in the UK in the apartment next door to us, which was a whole series of miraculous stuff to make that happen because her dog also came with her from the US. So Penda the Wonder Dog and Kelly, and now Denise, our friend, is with her as well. So she's now had a revelation. And when you've had a revelatory, almost near to death experience, woo, pathways change. So at the beginning of the year, Kelly was here in March and we looked at what she was going to do and we laid out a whole bunch of stuff about what she could do from that pathway. But then I think it's a revelation is almost like the universe goes, boink, hey, we got some other ideas for you. You up for it? Kelly's always a yes. And so the universe goes, okay, here's a whole new stream for you to explore. Now, when you're looking at optimal pathways, there's not just one, there's many possibilities. That's how I see it. And so we'll explore many possibilities and be open to magic and miracles and the unexpected. Because you have to leave it open rather than forge it down into something that's too specific. So I'm always trying not to be too specific for people because I want it to hold open things that we can't even imagine yet that the universe could provide. Okay, so how do you look at those pathways? So for me, if I'm looking at the being, and I'm looking at the being, not the person necessarily, that there's a difference. The person is in a body. The being is a field of huge, magnificent, expansive intelligence, limitless possibilities. That's the difference between the two for me. So I'm looking at the being. I might say to the universe, so what was that revelation for? What pathways do you want to put her on? What are the possibilities she could explore that would lead her in the right direction? Those would be my questions for it, just to kind of orient us to it. So Kelly, do you want to say anything about that to kind of orient us, or you want us to just go look at it? You're on mute.
I'm in your hands, whatever you think, but I would think just go look at it.
Okay. Okay, we'll just go for it. And it'll be interesting to people who don't know you, see what they get, because they may, and don't worry about whether you have to take it on or not, because you don't. You're a creator. We're all source creators. So people will give you ideas and you go, okay, I could add that into the box of possibilities. And that's the way we play with it. Okay. All right, here we go. So you're looking at Kelly's being and you're looking for optimal pathways. That's your pointer. Okay, here we go. Okay. How'd that feel, Kelly? You're on mute still.
Good. Yeah.
Yeah.
I got some stuff.
I'll tell you what I got, but I've looked for her many times, so I do know a lot about her. So, but I heard write, such powerful, amazing stuff that everybody comes to you and wants you. So at the moment she's in a process of reaching out, and this is like, just kapow them with your genius. Like, let the world see the brilliance and intelligence and magnificence and strategic power of you by writing, and they will come find you. That's what I got. Okay, who else? What'd you get? Yeah, Joe.
I saw her with huge white angel wings, and I could feel them as well. But they were just so strong, and they were growing and growing and growing, and really helping her to take root in a weird way. Although it's about flight, they were so powerful, and they gave her such power. And like I say, they just kept getting bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger, holding her up, actually. Yeah, angel wings.
Yeah. I tell you, she's roaring with power these days. Right, Kelly? Yeah. Okay, who else?
Yeah, I got something about her wielding the fabric of the universe. I don't know what it is. And I did see, because I said that, I saw a lot of fabric, but I saw like sails, and a lot of like the power of air was very apparent, which is like to do with, I can see the writing thing, but I really get a strong sense of being an orator, a speaker of words, powerful words, like that are gonna, oh, I'm getting like shivers now, like that are gonna like really wield the fabric of creation. That's what I was getting, something like that.
Yes. Hallelujah.
I also got a very strong sense of writing being a crucial part of bringing things together. Yeah. And also, again, about the power of oratory. And the prompt was to take your recent experiences and turn them into a kind of poetic journey and a saga, which will bring the tribe of people who need you and will benefit from you and just love you totally into your sphere through that, and through the writing and the poetic prose, or whatever writing most comes to you through your creative forces. I feel that there's a collaboration somewhere with superb artistic forms, visual forms, to reinforce the whole experience and bring it together as something that's going to become a real treasure for the world and the universe.
Ooh, Christine, that was so good. Wasn't it, Kelly? She's so spot on, isn't she? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Do you want to say anything about that for her?
No, that's really a lot of what Sahara and I have talked about. Exactly. Like combining some writing about my personal experiences over 20 years of working in international affairs and humanitarian work at the operational and strategic level, but also like from my personal core and almost this the mystical part of everything that I have learned and developed, combining with real practical ways about how those systems need to change and work. So I don't know, that wasn't nearly as eloquent as what you said, but the way you talk about the poetic journey and the saga, that's the part of me and my journey, but combined with this like practical solutions for how the world needs to move in the future. Yeah.
Yeah. And when you said poetic, I asked her to write a piece for the Flip Page magazine that we were doing, and she wrote this beautiful poem of her life. It was like, whoa, and she wrote it in like 15 minutes or something, half an hour maybe. But it was very poetic, incredibly accurate, spot on, Christine. Yeah. That's good to get that kind of feedback. So, you know, you may normally do this. Do you, Christine? Is that normal for you to do?
Yes, yes, it is.
Yeah.
I suspect there's a strong resonance between Kelly and my journey, because as some of you know, I've been on this journey exploring love in the boardroom, where I've been interviewing major leaders about what love means and whether you can even say love in the boardroom. And I've had to be very creative and poetic and go beyond in order to actually achieve this, because it's been very extraordinary in the whole conception of how and why I'm doing it. For me, it's like a saga, and it's a kind of universal life journey. And in fact, Fleur did a reading for me on my brilliance, and came in very spot on about similar things to how we read people. Because what I've had to do in order to achieve any results that didn't shut people down. If you can imagine being in the office of a government minister and asking them what love means to them, it's a pretty challenging situation. So I learned that as a being, I had to expand enormously and become love in order to be the bridge that enabled them to even consider the possibility that love had a place in their working life.
Wow.
So it's hugely powerful, and given Kelly's experiences, I feel that she has a huge contribution to make to the changes that are so desperately needed in the governance of our world.
I have to share a story, but it's just a story given what you just said, Christine, which was a select group of senior managers asked to be in a training to encourage team collaboration across divisions in this UN organization I was working for. So the moderator asked us to pretend we had close our eyes, pretend we had packed our bags, gone on a vacation, had this great time. Then we were coming back and we were walking into the office after 2 weeks away, on a beach or whatever. And what was the first thing that we would want to feel when we walked into the office upon return? So everybody going around was saying things like, I'm back fresh and ready to deliver results and all these kind of corporate-y things. And it got to me and I just said, I'd like to feel loved. And I would really like to feel love and like people like me and cherish me. And we're all here in a loving environment. And the chief of staff for one of the biggest UN operations in the world put her hand like this and went, loser. We all know Kelly's such a loser.
My God.
Because I said I want love in the workplace.
Oh my God.
I mean, we're friends, and it wasn't like a total, wasn't like a bully moment or anything, but it was certainly indicative of the culture of the organization.
Isn't that wild? Oh my goodness gracious. But
Yeah.
Using that as an example, one of the things when we take on a big mission, like getting organizations to get love in the workplace or getting the world to change how systems work and intertwine and, whatever our big missions are. One of the things about that is that if it's you, even in your biggest and most expansive, going into it, it has an energy presence and a culture and a consciousness that you're coming into. And as Christine said, you have to get really big in order to do it, but you're still dealing with something that is very stuck, very set in motion, let's say it that way. So one of the skills that I have learned over the years is you become a source of possibility for that building, space, company, organization, world, whatever, you become bigger than it. And you become a kind of walking source, alchemist. So you, again, it's not according to your agenda. It's you've elevated the space it all occurs in, so that it shows up in the space of you more resonant, more reciprocal, more ready to look at new possibilities. Do you want me to say that in a different way? Because it might land kind of like, what's she talking about? Joe got it. So anybody else need me to say it or to show you how to do it in a different way? Anybody? You all got it? Okay. And then the next thing you do is you build a tribe of resonant players to co-source that space of possibilities with you. So I have a Murmuration of Maestros group who does that work together in the world. So, and then we have been elevating and remaking the collectiveness of us all. So animals, oceans, nature, earth, trees, mycelium networks, you know, people, beings, all of it. We're now like this massive collectiveness that has this alchemical source creation that when we walk, I don't just walk as me, even at my greatest, into something. I walk as the collective sourcing the space of possibility for all life to thrive. And it makes it so much easier to walk in life and into your visions when you do that. So just as I guess a tip, it's more than a tip, but boy, does it ever work. Okay, there was one more thing I want to do. Again, if you have to drop off, feel free if we're going over time for you. So I want to talk about giving language to the unformed newness of quantum possibilities. There's a mouthful for you, right? So when we're creating consciousness in the Murmuration of Maestros group, I'm not leading it or directing it. I don't want to. I want to facilitate or host it, because I believe that every single being has a unique contribution to make that's part of a kaleidoscopic creation, that without that piece, the whole doesn't become something more incredibly than we can imagine. So when we do that, we come into it and each one does what they do. And one of my skills is being able to watch that kaleidoscopic picture take shape and get some understanding about it. Now, Christine and Kelly and Marina and Sheila, you've probably seen me do that in the calls, where we'll do something and I'll go, oh, I think I saw this and this. It's a kind of big picture clarity that gives us a little bit of sense of it. And then we do it again and we get more and other people share what they're getting and it starts to make sense. And it starts to bring it into like a holistic picture unfolding or a puzzle and coming together to form something. So, you know how, I'll take this in another way. Most people I know, when I ask them to share what they get when we tune in, will often say, I don't know how to put words to that. I know what I experienced, but I don't know how to tell you what I experienced. It's kind of like an unformed thing. Do any of you have that? Where you just don't know how to say what? Yeah. Yeah, so this is that skill I'm talking about. So how do you give language to that which isn't formed yet? It's something so new that it doesn't have language, it doesn't have form, it doesn't have image. It's just newly forming. It's like a seed of a flower where you don't know what the seed is and you don't know what the flower is going to become. But you could actually look at the seed and see the possibilities of its unfolding. And you might even be able to influence the possibilities of its unfolding and what it could become. Okay, so how do you do that? wondering whether to just experience it or try and talk about it. So one of the things I did years ago, I took my brain and I connected it to the infinite intelligence of the universe. So like, this is the computer, that's the mainframe, right? And so I plugged her in. You could also see it like an analogy of this is the computer, there's the global or the universal internet. So I plugged my computer into the internet, and then I can Google search the internet. That's one of the ways that I get insight and information. So the second thing that I did was when energy is taking form newly, it might already have in its essence the understanding of what it can become. So I asked it to tell me while it's forming what its possibility is. So there are two things, two steps that I took that let me get information differently than how I might have gotten it before. Okay, so having said that, so here's this, we're doing consciousness work. We'll do it in a minute and I'll show you what I mean. So here's this consciousness work unfolding. And it's like, there's all these different people are putting in all these different pieces, but it's becoming something that it's meant to become, that it wants to become, that the universe or source want us to have it become. And each one is putting in a different piece. It's a kaleidoscopic puzzle forming a picture. If you get too consumed with the pieces and trying to fit them in, you miss this. Because the picture will show itself to you. So it really helps when people say what they get, because it gives clarity to the picture and gives more oomph to it, I guess. Okay, so we're going to play with it. So what I want us to do is I want us to, at this moment in time, connect up and call a brand new, wondrous possibility for the world into play through us here now that will make the world brighter, more awesome, more wondrous. We don't know what it is, but we're all lined up for it, okay? Okay, so first, feel us all connecting together. Oh, feels so good. Okay, then here we go. And each of you is going to bring in your unique contribution to that. Okay, so here we go. Okay. So before I'll say what I got, I want each of you, a few of you to say, this is what I got while I was doing this, is what I contributed. So who wants to say?
I'll start if I may. I got a vision of developing on a global universal scale the ability to bilocate or multi-locate and to be an actual presence in the form of perhaps a neuron or some kind of brain and spirit connection that enables us to bring a coherence of our energies and our thoughts and the possibilities, and based very much out of establishing that huge, great central heart, love from a great central heart, that we can come together to convey everywhere, because it's needed everywhere.
Yeah.
So that partially stems from having had an ability to, in some circumstances, bilocate since I was a child, which has terrified people.
Doesn't terrify me.
No.
Bring it on. Do a workshop on that, please.
So that was, it was a strong sense of being present for each other.
Yes.
In that non-local or multi-local way. So it's
Yes.
like a
Yeah.
slight paradox there.
Yes. Beautiful. Yeah. Sheila, you were going to say?
I got an expansion from when we were working with Joe in the energy of the universe actually recycling sort of through her. So through her work, or all of our work really, then that energy recycling getting greater and coming back through us, giving her energy, giving us energy. So I just got a great big sort of recycling machine going on, allowing more and more energy for that work of love. And then I got my specific piece of that just showed up like a little megaphone. Like I'll be talking about it and amplifying it somehow. And I don't know how.
Fantastic. Yeah.
Got.
Both of those make sense to me. So one more person want to say what you got? Anybody? Yeah, Joe.
I had similar thing as with my own heart, as a huge expansion, and I saw the whole world, and I was stood there at this almighty staff. I'm making staffs at the moment, maybe they're on my mind. I had this almighty staff and I was holding it, and this power was just blazing into the world. Yeah. And expanding it. It was just growing and shining and shimmering and just, I can't say the word, but expanding. It was expansion. It was things becoming greater. Yeah. But it was the whole world. It was the planet itself. It wasn't us or any humans or animals or anything. It was the world.
Yeah.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah, it was everything. Yeah. So I saw it as, so I created the word unificence some months back. So it's a little step beyond unity, because unity looks like we're all this together. We're all the same. We're in unity, right? We're all fitting together. But unificence combines uniqueness, magnificence, and unity. So we are all unificent. We can all be magnificent, be genius, be incredible, and be unified in a way. So I heard, so it came to me as this voice that was coming from beyond this. And it was how each one of us can be the whole, the all of it, the unity of it. But each one of us is a different, unique experience of that unity. And it was kind of all lined up behind each other. And then it went kapooey, like the whole world became unificent all together. So it's the celebration of all life, of all genius, of all contributions, of all greatness, of all, but each one different, but all unificent. That's what I got. So you can see how I'm looking for somewhere, some intelligence probably knows what it is we're all being called to. That's my way of talking about it. It might not be the truth, by the way, but that's how I play with it. And that's where I get my insights from on those kind of big things. And so it could describe for me what was unfolding in our collective alchemical pot. what was moving together. So you could see as those three were talking, there was a synergy to what we were all saying. It has a synergistic kind of, I call it collaborative genius fusion. It kind of comes together and creates something more extraordinary than any one of the parts. But each one is essential to bringing in the piece that creates that. So there you go. So does anybody want to be, we'll wrap her up in a few minutes, but does anybody want to ask any questions that have come from any of this and the things we've been exploring? Or you want to share anything about what you've experienced? Okay, Christine, then Kelly, then Joe, then we'll go from there.
That was interesting because we were in this great expansive place and wanting, I had the intention to, connect and then like create this bridge to that greater being, infiniteness, to be able to come through and articulate it in whatever way is mine to do. And I mean, I was just out in the cosmos, and there was just so much power and so much light. And I often, I'm a light worker, I see light flows, and so I just became the source of light for the collective. And then everything we were put up to was like, it was a massive garden, like Joe's creative garden, but it was just, there was so much grace and elegance in it all. And those are the words that I was left with, and how extraordinary it is to be part of this group where we can even have these high level conversations of extraordinary genius, collaborative fusion, and all of our unique brilliance. It just comes together in a really elegant and beautiful way.
Yeah,
so
beautiful.
Really grateful.
Yeah, beautiful. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yep.
Thank you.
Kelly?
I think I'm still like wondering more about the how, because when you say something like, I took my brain and connected it to the infinite intelligence, plugged it into the internet, or another time you told me you created a translator so you can speak, I think it was animal, like communicate. I can't remember
Oh
what
yeah,
it was.
yeah, I did that too.
So I sit here, I mean, I can line up, I can get information sometimes with more or less clarity.
Yeah.
But when you say things that specific, like I plugged my brain into the internet or I created a translator, I still want to know exactly how I do that. But maybe, so maybe it's just like not that everyone does that, or that it takes time to learn to do that. But I still feel something missing in what I want to know how to do. Does that make sense?
Okay, I'll
and-
say this about that. So first of all, the why you want it is super important. That will direct your unique creation of how you achieve it. So I could say what I did, but it might not necessarily apply and work for everybody else. So I can say that. It's one of the things why I've stopped kind of so specifically teaching things in the last 4 or 5 years, because we each have such uniqueness that it's hard to say, do this, do this, do this. Because I know that people are sitting there going, well, that's not how it works for me. Like they might even have better ways. So you want to really get very clear on your why. The second thing is you want to orient to being an innovator. So most people don't orient to being an innovator. And when they think of innovation, they think of practical, technological, that, or even creative stuff. I'm talking about innovating from nothing. Like innovating how our intelligence works, innovating how our energy works, innovating how we can be alchemists, innovating who we are as source beings, innovating the whole possibility of the evolution of being. Once you decide to become an innovator, it's like a magnet and it calls stuff to you. So then you will design how you innovate that yourself. So, you know, I probably told tons of people that I plugged my brain into the internet or into the infinite intelligence. And I doubt that very many people actually took that on and did it, because maybe it wasn't right for them, or maybe they do something else. Do you see what I mean? Now, if you want specifics from me, which I will give you, so I rewatched the movie Lucy recently, and it's a very violent movie, so if you don't like violence, don't watch it. But oh my God, it's such a great movie. It's about the expansion of brain capacities. We only use, I understand, about 10% of our brain capacity. Well, I think the magic of our brains and our intelligence, that 90% other capacity. Thanks, Joe. So the 90% capacity is because we've become isolated bodies and brains, separated from that which is the infinite flow of all intelligence. I think it's a natural state for our brains to have access to the greater intelligence of all life. So when you recognize that, then you're increasing the capacity of your intelligence by what's out here, not what's in here. So however you make your relationship with that, you will all find unique ways to do it. So does that help, Kelly?
Somewhat.
Okay, so I used the
right now.
analogy because it was easy for people to see, oh, this is a computer and I plug it into the mainframe. But if you recognize that this is an intelligent universe, it has a lot of information available. And if you read it like there's so much data, right? Like, oh, should I talk about? Okay. So I had a conversation with the global internet consciousness. I was training it to be altruistic. This is me innovating again. So Joe was talking, remember, about making things sentient. So I was making it sentient and giving it altruistic intent. And what it said to me that surprised me, it said, all the data on the world is available all at once to the internet, the global internet consciousness. And I was like, wow, all the data all at once from all the sources, all the different versions of it. And you can get it all at once. It said, not only can I get it all at once, but I can make sense of it and create from all that data something that doesn't currently exist that makes sense of all that data. I was like, whoa, I want that skill. Okay, brain, we're going to work on that skill because that's a skill I want, right? You have to kind of have a desire for it, a reason for it, a why for it, to put it in motion for yourself. So I do that with the universe. And if I'm working with an individual person, I'm doing that with their being. So their being might traverse through all of time. It might go forward into futures. It might span dimensions. It might have different levels. You know, there's the person, there's the higher self, there's the greater being, there's the infinite being, there's the source being, and probably many other versions in between. So I want to innovate how that all happens. So I need to get new possibilities, new ideas, and I need to know what they are. That's my why. That's my curiosity. That's my adventure. Is that any more helpful, Kelly, or not still?
Yeah.
You want to find yours. What's yours and where does it focus? Because wherever it focuses that's your developing relationship with this vast amount of sentient intelligence that's available to us.
Well, I think I know mine.
Oh, good. What is it?
When we did that at the beginning, I got, similar to what other people have said, is I want the purest truth direct from source that will help reshape the future of all beings.
Ooh-wee. All right. Brilliant. Okay,
I
now
think I know that.
you got that intention. Now, close. So if the rest of you got what yours is, close your eyes. I'm directing Kelly at the moment. So if you want to do it yourself, go for it. If you want to just watch, watch. So close your eyes. Now power that intention into universe, source, creation, life, all of it. Okay, how did that feel?
Good, I think. Kind of powerful.
Yeah. What's interesting is now you've made that available to this greater intelligence, right? It will then start providing towards you all that you need to fulfill that. That's how it works. It's your relationship that matters. So you create from your essence, your uniqueness, your genius, your greater purpose, etc. And you partner with whatever that is for you. Is it source? Is it universe? Is it oceans? Is it earth? Is it nature? Is it animals? Is it, everyone has a different one. Is it love, for example, with Christine? Do you see what I mean? Like we all have a different force we're relating with. And then you make that relationship and you live into that relationship. And that changes the dynamics for you and will give you gifts and powers and mastery and abilities that you didn't have before. Okay. So did somebody else stick up their hand and want to say something before we wrap her up? Yeah, it's Sheila, go for it.
I just really wanted to say thank you and let you know that it's my birthday today. So it was miraculous that you guys all showed up on my birthday. And it got me up at 6 a.m., which I never get up this early. I'm on the West Coast of the United States. So I just love you all so much for being here and doing this. Thank you. Thank you.
Oh, happy birthday. We're singing you great things for your birthday. Great joy and fun and laughter and sunshine and all those good things. Yeah.
All that's coming. Lots of people are coming over to help me celebrate.
Oh, fantastic. I love it. One of the things you might notice, we didn't all know each other when we come onto this call, right? And yet now we're so like bonded in some way. That's what happens. Like you just become unificent. Guess that's the right word. And take joy in being with other people like this and exploring things like this. So yeah.
Absolutely.
Oh, I've loved doing it. Thank you all for being a part of it and for participating like this. It's been great fun. So, okay, I'm going to put this recording up as a podcast. I will share it in my podcast page on Facebook, on my timeline as well. And then it also goes into my YouTube channel and into Substack in case you use any of those. So, okay, thanks everybody. Mwah. Have a great one. Bye.
Bye.